Hello everybody, Conor here. Hope you're doing fantastic and well from all Leeds TV. I'd just like to say thank you for all the support that you've given me throughout this tough time that I've had. I've received, tens and tens actually, probably maybe 100 actually messages from you guys regarding the bereavement in my family. So I'd like to start off by saying thank you for that. It's been a tough time for me and my family, but I thought it's about time to talk about Leeds, so here goes nothing. The fresh thing that's come out of Leeds today, really, and it's sort of adjusted what I was going to talk about just slightly. I'm going to touch on it. I don't know the ins, I don't really know the outs of it. I don't think many Leeds fans know the ins and outs of it, to be honest, but QSI and I believe it's Al-Khalifa. Al-Khalifi, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure a lot of you are going to absolutely rip me apart in the comments for saying something that sounds like Mia Khalifa there. It's Giona basically, BN Sports head chief. Looks like he potentially might be investing in Leeds United, which is huge really. I mean, you know, you look at the absolute monumental surge of PSG over the past, 5 to 10 years really, and what he's done with that club. It's quite an exciting prospect, but there's a lot of human rights issues with the PSG owner and a lot of accusations, false or proven, I'm not 100% sure, but there are definitely two sides to this story. It's a huge thing that could happen to Leeds United, and it looks like maybe Rad's been the businessman that he is, has played things down, but you know, when you get the New York Times, when you get the FT, and when you get AS.com reporting things like this, normally it's from very reputable and very sort of trustworthy links. You know, we're not talking about the Mirror and the Sun here. We are talking about highly prestigious news outlets from across the globe. So there's definitely something to it. Whether or not it's just going to be a Qatar sponsor on the shirt and potentially a £15 million investment this year, something as small as that, or whether or not it's going to be something where they're rubbing shoulders with the 49ers for the full stake in Leeds United. You know, obviously we know Brad Razzani holds the majority. Are they going to sell it to the PSG? Is he going to sell it to the PSG owner? I know the AS.com report stated that Brad Razzani looks to have had enough this season, and that was the last push of the dice. But other outlets are reporting that Brad Razzani actually wants one more throw at it. So it just depends really. There's so much in the air at the minute, but it does seem like Brad Razzani has met with the PSG owner today, as I said, from highly reputable sources. So that is definitely something to look out for. Now guys, we're going to get on to the players that I would like to sell, the players that I would like to buy on a personal note. Now, this has been a tough one, really. I'm not going to go throughout the entire squad because there's no point, really. You know, I don't want to be touching on maybe a lot of loan players, etc. here and there, or players that are not going to feature just in general. I kind of want to fix on the cohort, really. So I'm going to start with the main ones, really. I'll probably try to flash them on screen here. I'm going to start with the main ones. Obviously, you look at Kiko Casilla. I know we touched on it in the video. What would I do with Kiko Casilla? I would sell Kiko Casilla. I think his decision making is something that will continue. I think we've seen it with previous goalkeepers in the past. It doesn't matter that he's played for Real Madrid. I think the continuous cycle will progress with Kiko making bad decisions. You build from the back. We saw that with Rob Green. We've seen that throughout history with the top goalkeepers we've had. I don't think that the defence has a lot of trust in him, and I think that will culminate next season in big fixtures. And I think if the back line doesn't have confidence in your keeper, that is an absolute stirring pot for failure. Luke Ayling, obviously a definite yes. Luke has been absolutely brilliant for Leeds since he's come back from injury, and he's definitely going to be a big one for Leeds next season. Not really much more to say on that. Cooper and Janssen as a collective, I'm really undecided on Janssen, to be quite frank. I love Janssen, I really do, but I'm still not sure on him. I mean, if we do need investment, I think like a lot of you, if we do actually need investment, I would look at selling Janssen on. I think he's been brilliant for Leeds, an excellent servant. I just think it's a little bit about Pontus Jansson a lot of the time. You look at the loans that we could potentially get from the Premier League, you know, the Chelsea loanees in Hector, you look at the loanees from Bournemouth, and you look at Tyrone Mings, players of that calibre that we can get, young, hungry English player, Reece James, players of that calibre who've been absolutely monumental this season. Not saying Janssen hasn't, but maybe it's the end of his era at Leeds United, I don't know. Liam Cooper, on the other hand, I'd like to keep Liam. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Last season, I didn't like him at all, but it looks like he's really staked a claim now. He's a real captain, looks fantastic for Leeds United, composed on and off the ball, a real leader, and someone who's really come to the fore this season. So a definite yes for Cooper. Berardi, another one who I'd like to touch on. Berardi, once again, it's a real tough one for me, is Gaetano Berardi, because I'm still not sure. I think his discipline's just horrendous. I think it's 8 sendings off now for Leeds. It's not good enough. Needs to get pulled up. There's no need to do what he did against Derby. I can understand there was a built-up frustration, but, you know, an experienced head, you've got to just let that one go, and you know, you've got to let that one go, and I feel like once again the event sort of took control and his aggression took control, which we've seen multiple times with Berardi. When does his sort of headspace outweigh his footballing ability? Because we know he's got the footballing ability, but will that ever stop? Will that aggression ever leave his play? I think as fans we've got to take out the nostalgia of loving every player and loving the yes and the blood. You've got to look at it footballing wise. Sometimes you do need a little bit of a turn up, a little bit of a tear up, and we can see differences massively in the new season. There's definitely a mentality issue that I would say that is plaguing that squad, and I don't know if you maybe get rid of maybe 1 or 2 in that back line, bring in some fresh blood, some fresh young quality blood who can replace that quality seamlessly. I don't know if that's something to go on, but Berardi, still undecided for me. Barry Douglas, definitely. I think he'll be a constant next year. He'll be absolutely excellent. I love Barry Douglas. I think he's just not been given a chance. His consistency hasn't been great because of the injuries, but I think when we've seen him, you know, you look at Norwich, Stoke earlier on in the season, Derby, Sheffield Wednesday away, he's showed spouts of absolute brilliance, and I think if he's got a good left winger, a quality left winger, which we could see at Ellen Road this season, a quality left winger, and you've got someone like Jack Harrison as a potential loan or coming off the bench, that is fantastic. But an actual quality starter, and I think you'll see the best of Barry Douglas. We've seen it with Ivan Cavallero at Wolves, with him and Barry Douglas's link up. We've seen Hotterby on that side as well. Barry Douglas plays better with better players, as every other player does, but I think he is of that kettle of fish where he has to be with someone who's good on that side, because the left side's just completely imbalanced if you don't have a good left back and a good left winger. So for me, Barry Douglas, a definite yes. There's Jan Alioski as well. Alioski, definite yes. I'd have him as a squad player, 100%. I'm not 100% sure he's a starter for me. I think Barry Douglas will come into the fray next year, and I think you'll see a better and much improved Barry Douglas. You know, you forget this guy's won promotion with an absolutely unbelievable Wolves team. He stayed in that team. He was part of that Wolves team throughout the season. Got many assists, many goals. So yeah, Alioski, definite yes, but a squad player. Dallas, I think Dallas has earned himself a Leeds place over the Villa game and the Derby game. Absolutely brilliant. I thought he was top draw and the best player against Villa and the best player of the 2 legs against Derby. Absolutely brilliant, and that earns him a place at Leeds United for me. A definite yes. KP, unbelievable player, Premier League player, future England defensive midfielder for me. I've actually called out he's better than Eric Dyer, which I know a lot of you will be like, oh, but actually you look at it footballing wise, he's incredible, and I think he's better on the ball, I think he's better off the ball, I think he's better creatively, pragmatically, dynamically. He's a much better player in my personal opinion, and you will see him grace in the Premier League very soon, whether or not it'll be this season, touch wood, or next. I think he's absolutely top class. Forshaw, oh man, as an 8, yes, and as a 4, no. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he has the physicality of someone like Calvin Phillips. I don't think he's brutal enough in the tackle. I don't think he's creatively good enough from the back, because you've got to remember, guys, the 8 is as creative as the 4 as well. You build up play in the 4. You look at someone like Gennaro Gattuso or Pirlo. You are creative from that 4 as well. And I think that is massive, that you do have that aspect to your play. I do feel Forshaw is a little bit sort of static. I feel like he's a bit stagnant in his play, a bit side to side. I think you see flashes of brilliance from him, but I don't think it's enough. So as a squad player, a definite one for me in the 8 role. I think he's a lot better going forward. Matthias Klick, obviously, yes, I don't really need to go over this anymore. He's had an absolute brilliant season, 10 goals, multiple assists, and he's come into the fray. It's his first season, really, in English football, and he's proved that he deserves it. You know, I'd like to see him rotated a little bit, and that leads me on nicely to Pablo Hernandez, who I also want rotated a little bit as a pair. I think those two needed resting in certain games. I think the amount of games they played as a collective, it caught up with them a little bit towards the end. Pablo, brilliance, but, you know, 34 years of age, you need to start rotating that quality, and that's what we lost with Samuel Saiz. And there was a coherent theme and a consistent pattern as to where we went down last year, and it was because we lost Saiz and we did not replace him, and we relied on Izzy Brown, who didn't play. So that's something that has got to improve next season. Rotating, but rotating with quality. Jamie Shackleton, another one who I think is going to feature massively next season. I think Shackleton's going to go on to be an absolute world beater. I think he is just unbelievable. unbelievable. Another one of the product line, the gravy line, whatever you want to call it, the Leeds line, that is just absolutely brilliant, and something that it just shows how incredible our youth system is. I think it's arguably the best youth system in the country. For the amount of times we dip into that youth system, it's absolutely unbelievable. You know, 16-year-olds playing at Villa away when they've never played for Leeds before. 17-year-olds been on the bench for the top games this season. The playoffs game having 3 17-year-olds who've never played for Leeds United before on the bench. And then Izzy Brown. Do you know what I mean? These are the sorts of things where Leeds are so confident in our youth system, we will develop them and put them into the first team. And that's got to stand us for a good stead in the future. So Jamie Shackleton, 100%. Jack Clark, if we can get a good fee for him, I'm talking 15 and above, yes, I would let him go, because I think Jack Clark is replaceable. I do like the attributes that Shackleton possesses. I don't think he's got the explosive speed that Clark has, but I think attributes in the all-round game. If you wanted to put Shackleton on the right, you could rotate him with his position, centre midfield, right back, right mid. I think Shackleton plays in that little sort of triangular sort of section of the pitch really, really well. And I think Shackleton, you know, if you whatever you lose in Clark, you can make up for in Shackleton. And then we move on to the forwards. Obviously, you know, you look at your Kemar Roofs. Once again with Roof, obviously he's running down his contract a little bit now. I've not really heard anything. Obviously it's quite early, but we've not heard anything regarding Kemar Roof. I wouldn't be that disappointed if he went, but we'd need to replace, because, you know, you look at Patrick Bamford, I'll tie them in quite nicely. I wouldn't be devastated if they both went. You know, Roof, it's probably his last chance to get to the Premier League if it's not with Leeds United. And Bamford, you know, something similar, but I'm not sure he's at that level. You know, we all talk about Bamford's fitness and, you know, him not having that for the full season. And I do believe that's definitely a factor. Of course it is, but I also think you've got to take into the fact that he just doesn't fit into this Bielsa system. It's his natural play, his progression, going up the field and back and defending as well, defending from the front. I just don't feel that it fits into a Bielsa system. You look at Bielsa's teams, historically you have that quick nippy forward who works consistently across the line, and that is what Kemar Roof is. I don't want to lose Roof, but I think it is realistic that we lose someone like Roof, because I think you'll get a lower league Premier League team, potentially Palace, potentially Burnley, maybe in Newcastle, maybe one of the promoted teams going for someone like Kemar Roof. And Bamford, I just don't think it's a credible 7 million investment. I can see why Leeds did it. Maybe at the time he was seen as one of the top forwards in the league, potentially, but I just do not think he fits this Bielsa system, and it'd be interesting to see what Bielsa would say to that. If we can cash in on him, I'd 100% let him go, but that means that we're going to have to renovate that forward line, because there's nothing there. You know, if we lose those two, which is a potential possibility, it probably won't happen, but it's a possibility, we need to renovate, we need to replace, and we need to reproduce quality in that area 100%. Yeah, and that's definitely what we need to do for me. So I'm going to wrap it up there. You know, they're the sort of key ones I sort of wanted to focus on. I know a lot of you guys will be saying, well, what about so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so? But they're the key heads for me. They're the figureheads. They're the ones that are going to get us promoted in the long run. Who I'd keep and rotate out of those lot, then I think they're the key ones that I should focus on. So next as well, what I've decided to do is sort of compile a list of players, sort of free agents, signings, you know, on our level right now who we could use and we could potentially invest in. I've sort of looked at the wage structure as well. I've sort of done it on each individual player, things that we could potentially afford and things that are realistic signings for Leeds United. What I've gone with, we have looked at the free agents as well. It's Albert Adoma. You know, he's on 25 to sort of 28 grand a week at Villa. Could we free up some wages for that? You know, you've got a winger there, an explosive winger, someone who gets assists and goals throughout his career. He's always been at the top championship level as well. But if you can get some of the big hitters off the books, can we replace that with quality? Can we replace that with a championship head that's not going to demand a massive transfer fee? They might increase the wage structure 100% Leeds, especially with potential investment. So can that be something we do? Because players like that are going to get Leeds to the next level. We don't have to go out there and spend millions and millions on the transfer fees. So does that free up a little bit of the wage structure for someone like Adoma? And that moves me on nicely to someone else as well. Someone like James Chester. Always loved Chester. Excellent at Hull. A leader at Villa. You know, and then going to that next level, they had to let him go. But someone who's an experienced vet in this league, someone who's been brilliant wherever he's gone. I've watched Chester for years and he's such a good player. commanding, and he was Villa's best player last season. He's been Villa's best player for a couple of seasons now. So is that someone we can invest in? More promotion quality with Hull, more Premier League class with Hull, and he's someone who's looking at, you're looking at about 25k a week there. If we get rid of a centre-back, bring in a quality loan player, and then we get someone like James Chester, let's say hypothetically we bring in someone like Hector, then we get someone like James Chester in. I mean, what an absolute, I'm sorry, but just on a personal level, ahead of Janssen, that would probably be my preference. But I love Pontus Jansson, but I just think, someone like those two as a collective, instead of Janssen, it'd just give us something completely different and something that we could move forward with. Move on to Kieran Westwood, who I mentioned earlier, someone who would replace Kiko Casilla seamlessly. I'm not sure what's going on at the minute, but as of yet, I believe he is a free agent. I know Huddersfield were interested. I'm not sure if that's progressed anymore, but as of yet, he's a free agent. I think Wednesday trying to work on something there, but if we can just get in there and we can nick him and we can get someone like that in, obviously with Casilla potentially moving on, which I think is the right thing to do, what an investment that would be. An absolutely quality goalkeeper. And for me, still the best goalkeeper in this league, and he has been for the past sort of 4 or 5 years. So Kieran Westwood's definitely one that I would look at. And then, guys, as well, I wanted to move on to a couple of... I've got 2 or 3 League One players, including Jamal Lowe. I really like Jamal Lowe. Very good on the ball. And you've got to look... We're talking about Wilkes. Wilkes might not even play for Leeds United ever again with this court case. If you actually look like someone like Jamal Lowe, 24 years old, he's someone who we can definitely mould into a quality player. Only 2 to 4 million, really. If we can mould that in as well with the Bielsa, you look at it. I've always thought Jamal Lowe's a little bit Sacco with a lot of quality. If we can mould him into someone absolutely quality under Bielsa, what an excellent signing he'd be. So Jamal Lowe is one of my picks for League One. Another one who's coming into the Championship, might be a little bit hard to acquire, is Ethan Pinnock from Barnsley. Probably a little bit of an unknown and a little bit of a wild card for a lot of Leeds fans, but Ethan Pinnock is a wonderful player. Brilliant. Barnsley buying from the lower leagues again, like they've done with John Stones, Alfie Mawson and co. They've always done it. They've got a great recruitment strategy, and Ethan Pinnock was another one who they bought for a seven-figure salary from the lower levels, and he is an absolute class act. Ethan, I'm a bit of a nerd with the lower leagues, and I watch a lot of the lower leagues. You can't get past him. I've got a couple of mates who are Barnsley fans as well. They reckon he's going to be better than John Stones. So maybe someone we could look at a cheap salary before his price and his stock gets a lot higher. A pick from Barnsley as well, who's been excellent this season. Fox in the box, excellent finisher, ambidextrous with his feet, left and right, very quick. Low wage budget. He's played at the top level. He's played at the Premier League level with Fulham. Cauley Woodrow, cracking player. Someone who I'd love to see in a Leeds United shirt. Someone who I do feel could make the step up. Cauley Woodrow's my next pick from League One coming into the Championship. And then, guys, as well, I think with the whole FFP and what's going on, I sort of wanted to move into the loan market as well, and who I think would be 5 potential loan signings that Leeds could go in for. We mentioned a little bit on the video that me, Joe and Oscar did, but we did it with a little bit less backing, a little bit less research. So even if you haven't checked that video out, make sure you go check it out. It's a live stream we did, but the ones that I want to get into that are sort of young loans, the ones that have always worked from the Premier League. You look this season, Tyrone Mings, Hector, Mason Mount, Harry Wilson, Tammy Abraham, to name a few. It works. It is a perfect model. It works for the Championship. They make that level down and they can make that level up as well. They can take that team to the next level. We missed out on Harvey Barnes earlier on in the season, but imagine him in that Leeds United squad. What an amazing signing. What an amazing asset he would have been. So my first one would be Joe Willock from Arsenal. Seamless transition. He's been focusing, he's been playing for the Arsenal. He's played 2 Europa League games this season. He's played a couple of Premier League games as well, not featuring heavily. I believe he is going to be available for loan this season. Someone who we could get in, another young 19-year-old trying to prove themselves. Absolutely fantastic on the ball, can play in the middle, centre mid, out wide, right, very versatile, an absolute quality act. So someone like Joe Willock is perfect. I mentioned him about 4 or 5 months ago in the January window video I did where I wanted Willock in, but I didn't know if Leeds would go down that way. Someone like Joe Willock will be absolutely perfect, making the impact that Mason Mount and Harry Wilson had. I think he would be a seamless transition. Played at a brilliant level with Arsenal, played a couple of times this season. Not sure if Emery's going to focus him that much this season. I don't think he will do. I think he's going to have to buy in someone. But if he doesn't have to do that, we could take someone like Joe Willock, and that moves me on to someone like Eddie Nketiah. watched him a couple of times and he makes the difference when he comes on for Arsenal. You know, a lot of people might say it's out of reach, but I think he is a loan away from a proper start for Arsenal. I really do think he is. Him and Willock, I think, would be ideal, you know, especially if we're looking to move on a Bamford or a Roof. We don't have to massively break the wage budget. Arsenal, I presume, would be paying the large percentage of that, them being loan and young players. They would pay the large percentage of that. I literally think Willock and Nketiah would be ideal signings. Next ones as well would be sort of Reece James and Hector. I was looking at the Chelsea sort of loanee markets. Hector has been at Chelsea for 4 seasons now. 3 of those seasons he's been out on loan, and he just gets better and better. When he was at Ellen Road, the best player on the pitch for Sheffield Wednesday. You know, and if we could imagine if we got Westwood and Hector, wow, that would be incredible. Hector, just getting better and better with age. Doesn't look like he's going to feature for Chelsea. They've got too many centre-halves, too many players on loan. And I think it's going to be one of those again where you like the likes of Reece James, who's played 34 times already in his career and he's just turned 19. Experienced, calm on the ball. They've clearly come through that Chelsea youth system and embraced everything. Quality on the ball, quality off the ball, very composed, just great in all areas for Wigan and for Wednesday. Not the best two teams this season, but Hector and James have stood out as potential massive players for the future. Can we develop them? Can we get them into the Leeds side? Because I just think they looked absolutely brilliant. You look at the last lone centre-half we had, Kyle Bartley, and look at the transition he made into the Leeds side, arguably the best player that season. So you look at someone like Hector, you look at someone like Reece James, I think it'd be superb acquisitions to this Leeds United side. A little bit of a wild card, I've gone for Oliver Burke. A little bit, it's not really worked for him at Celtic. Back at West Bromwich Albion now, it looks like he's run out of his contract. About 10 to 15 grand a week, I believe that's what he'll be on. Someone like him would be a brilliant signing, explosive winger. It's not really worked for him at Celtic or West Brom, but with Bielsa at the helm, can he make that once unbelievable Forest winger, uncopable Forest winger, it's not even a word, but you know what I mean, he was desirable. What a player he was. Obviously got pegged off abroad, but when he was brought back, didn't really hit the ground running, only 22, the perfect Bielsa mould, dynamic, very good on the ball and explosive, someone who Bielsa could completely work with. That's been my list, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like the video if you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I say, we'll be bringing out some more content. I presume this QSI thing is going to rumble on and on and on, so we'll have to see how that goes. We'll be reporting on that. The lads have got some more stuff coming out in the coming weeks. As well as that, we're looking to do a little bit of a fan video next year, guys, and what we're looking to do is for you guys to send all of your comments in, all of your videos in, film yourselves, and we're going to compile it into a video, and we're going to do that weekly next season. So let us know what ideas you want next season, because we're open to anything. It's a fan channel. We want what you guys say and we'll try and make it happen. So we're going to try and compile that into a big video, and it can be a video for you guys, you know, and it can be a video that you can be proud of as well. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. I'll see you in a bit.